I will be focusing on effective communication with the elderly. Many of you are focused on the elderly anyways with y'all's job and probably don't think about the importance of effective communication with them because it's not the same as talking to your employees, people of the same age, your children, or family members. First, I want to talk about the importance of communication with the elderly. And to do so, I'm going to quote from a website entitled Rules of Communication with the Elderly Care, a Career's Perspective from 2012 states. In elderly healthcare settings, communication is a vital topic in evaluating the needs of elderly patients and providing care that is guided to the individual patient needs. Without individual patient needs and focusing on effective communication, elderly patients' health would probably decline and get worse. Also, many medical field people think that communication is only when you're talking to somebody, but I discovered from the previously stated source that communication is a reciprocal process of sending and receiving messages using a mixture of verbal and nonverbal communication skills. With that being said, let's take a closer look at 3 skills that will help with effective communication. One main thing is basic communication skills. These skills for the elderly are quite different from the people that you talk to in your normal life. I discovered from a pamphlet from September of 2000 entitled Effective Communication with the Elderly by Ministry of Community and Development and Sports states that the trick is to be solvent. They break the word solvent down into each letter. S stands for slow down, so the elderly can keep up with what you're saying and process what you're saying as well. O, have an open posture, because if you walk into a room with your arms crossed or unprofessional, they're going to think that you're not there to care for them. You're just there to get a paycheck, or you have other things that you need to be doing. L is to lean forward. This shows the patient that you care about them and you want to know what's going on with them and also help them. V is verbal qualities. This is pertaining to elderly that have hearing problems. Most people think it's okay to raise their voice and to kind of shout at them, but really that's not helping anything. You need to lower your pitch of your voice and just talk to them normal and get closer. E stands for maintain eye contact. This is more of a respect to show that you are interested in their health and to help them. N stands for call them by their name. If you walk into a room and say, hey sweetie, how are you doing? They're not really going to know who you're talking to. They're going to and not kind of tune you out. But if you say, hello Mr. Turner or Mr. Bob, I'm here to take care of you, they'll respect you more and know that you're talking to them. Also, T stands for touch. Don't be afraid to touch them. It sends a warm and caring message, and most people are affected by this as well in a good way. Other things to take into consideration is maintain 3 to 5 feet distance between them so they can see you. Also have a well-lit room so they can watch your face and listen and also watch your mouth at the same time. This will help them. With elderly that is hearing impaired, you need to think about the noise. Like if there's somebody hollering out in the hall or they have family members in, you may want them to step out so they can focus on you one-on-one talking about their health. Now that we've discussed basic communication skills, let's take a look at the importance of and understanding of reflective and active listening. These two kind of go hand in hand. Reflective listening is wanting to know about the patient and caring, and it's kind of like they talk to you, you reword it and send it back to them to make sure that's what they've said. Active listening is they talk to you and you listen and you paraphrase it and send it back to them. To show a good example of this would be from a web page entitled Senior Living by Sharon O'Brien that states, an elderly person's life experience may be different from yours. It's important to let the person express those thoughts and feelings, to respect them even if you disagree. By doing this, you're taking in what they have to say, and more than likely you'll repeat back some of the things that they have already said to make sure you understand them. And it's always good to put your beliefs behind your own and put theirs in front of yours, even if you disagree with it. With this also, you have to have empathy. And empathy shows that you're caring, you're not just there to get a paycheck, you really care, you want to help them, and not really you feel sorry for them and form a relationship with them, but to perform good patient care. From a source that I've mentioned before, Effective Communication with the Elderly says, when using active listening, an elderly person does not have to say a word. He or she is still communicating something. So as I said in my first paragraph, many people think communication is just talking, when really nonverbal can be just as much effective as verbal. So being with that person and listening to what they say and just being in the room with them, you're doing active listening by just picking up on the moods and the other feelings that they are having. Lastly, I want to share information on the use of language clearly in the medical field. Most elderly people do not understand the medical terminology of today's time, and the best way to use language clearly with them that I found is from the Health Government webpage entitled Plain Language, a Promising Strategy for Clearly Communicating Health Information, Improving Health Literacy. States it's useful to define and explain. Most people, the doctor will come in and say, this is benign. Many people in general, especially the elderly, don't know what these words mean, so it's better to explain what define means and then give it to them in terms of their body. We found a tumor on your liver, but it was benign, meaning it was not of harm, but we went ahead and removed it anyways. Also, make sure you watch their facial expressions when you're talking to them, because you may think you're using clear language, but if their facial expressions change and they're like, what are you talking about? Then you know to go into further explanation. Also ask questions, ask them if they have any questions, and give them pamphlets to where they can take home, and if they don't think of any questions, they have that to refer to. I cannot promise all elderly patients will apply to only these skills, but most elderly patients will. These skills will help you be more prepared to handle the situations that arise. All caregivers should strive to possess these skills, as the author of A Career Perspective says, to be able to influence the care, provide individual-centered care, and create good interpersonal relationships.